The Go Downs is back with an updated NFL mock draft post free agency. So a lot of changes as teams filled some serious needs. Let's break it down. First overall, the Titans select Cam Ward, quarterback from Miami. I had this last time before free agency, and I'm still very confident with it. It's becoming more evident that this very well could be the pick. Looking at what the Titans did in free agency, more people hopping on board that they'll go quarterback first overall. They got that offensive line set. You know, maybe it's not the best in the world, but they add Dan Moore. They add Kevin Zeitler. They move J.C. Latham to his right spot at right tackle. The offensive line's looking kind of complete. They're getting ready for that quarterback. So I'm going to stick with this probably up until the draft unless some major news that is not smoke comes out. Shedeur Sanders, second overall, the Colorado quarterback. I've been a believer that quarterbacks are going 1 and 2. I'm going to stick with that. I think it's more obvious now. Not a lot of people believe that, but I think more are starting to jump on board. The Browns did trade for Kenny Pickett. Don't think that means anything at all for them. Maybe they want to make it seem like they're not taking a quarterback, but they're kind of just getting insurance policies, basically, and getting legit backups in case that rookie does not seem ready in training camp. But I think they're a team that would be fine taking Ward or Sanders. I think Kevin Stefanski would be a fan of Sanders. You know, he played under Pat Shemar. Stefanski was coaching under Pat Shemar quite a few years ago in Minnesota, so there is a little bit of a connection there. So again, I really believe right now that it's quarterbacks 1 and 2. The Giants at 3 becomes very interesting if the first 2 picks are quarterbacks, which I really believe will be. The Giants will try to trade up to 1 and take Cam Ward. The Titans, I think they want Cam Ward. They're going to stay at 1. They're going to take him. So do the Giants reach for a quarterback at 3? Do they go another possible need with Armand Membou, the stud right tackle who also can play right guard? Could help the Giants at either spot. I mean, Luminor played all right for them. Not a long-term solution. So reaching for a quarterback or going Membou would kind of be that need pick, or do they go best player available, Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter? If they like Travis Hunter at receiver, they have Malik Neighbors. They signed Darius Slayton to a decent-sized deal, and they love Wan'Dale Robinson for kind of the gadget thing. So they could use Hunter at receiver. They could use him at corner, starting opposite of Paulson Adebo. They paid him big money, so how much they value corner at that spot. They do have other options like Deonte Banks, who they want to work out. Andrew Phillips is a stud in the slot. They could go pass rusher. I mean, they have options. Brian Burns. They have Kayvon Thibodeau, who's been a little underwhelming if they don't pick up his option. 1 more year left in his deal. They add Chauncey Golston, who is a rotation guy. So I went with Abdul Carter. So looking at the future being Burns and Carter starting off the edge, you know, that is around Dexter Lawrence. So that is an elite pass rush group for the future. So I went that route for the Giants, but I could see a number of routes here if the quarterbacks are off the board. Very interesting pick at 3. Patriots are very interesting at 4. Do they go best player available? Who is that best player available for them? They filled a lot of needs on defense. The defense looking loaded right now. So if they view Travis Hunter as only a corner, they're not going to take him. They're not going to take him for corner because they're set at corner, and they'll look at other positions. Again, defense looking great. They actually added some pass rushers. Doesn't rule them out of Abdul Carter if he's there, but interesting stuff. It feels like they're gearing up to go offense. They badly need a receiver, a top-tier receiver, and they need help on the left side of the offensive line. They also could use a running back. Could they take Ashton? Jeanty would be a Mike Vrabel move here. He might be their best player available. So they could go that route. Armand Membou seems to be the top tackle in the class. But they would have to move him from right to left in their scenario. They might feel comfortable doing that. We'll see. Will Campbell can play left, but not every team's going to view him as a tackle because of the lack of arm length. So I go with Travis Hunter here, banking on them, liking him at receiver. They badly need that receiver, but they went into the offseason trying to trade or sign a receiver. They really did. They tried to sign Chris Godwin. If Higgins was available, they were going to go for him. They tried to trade for DK. They really tried to make it so, boom, we have a receiver 1. We don't have to focus on that, at least early in the draft. So did they want to have to draft Hunter for receiver? Things become very interesting. I really consider Jeanty at 4. I could totally see that. How they view Will Campbell, even though he's lacking the arm length. Very intriguing pick at 4 here for the Patriots. Jags at 5, really considered a trade down. You might be able to move back a little bit and still get Mason Graham if somehow Travis Hunter was available. In this scenario, he's not. I mean, they pounce all over that. They take Hunter, but they could trade back a little bit. Little risk with teams like the Jets, the Panthers, possibly taking Mason Graham, but I think they'll be looking to improve the trenches here. They added a lot of pieces They didn't add any like stud free agents, but they added a lot of solid pieces at several different positions. They did not focus at this position, so could trade down, could stay put, and take Mason Graham at 5 in this scenario. 6, the Raiders go at running back of Boise State, star running back Ashton Jeanty. The Raiders, it feels like they have even more needs now after free agency happened, so that's pretty crazy. They can go several different routes here. I mean, they can go running back, they can go D-line, they can go receiver, they can go corner. They badly need that. I mean, they need a linebacker too. Is it a little too early? But could they go with one of those hybrid linebacker pass rushers like Jalen Walker or, Jahad Campbell? Definitely possible. I mean, so many different routes, but I think, Pete Carroll, old school style, he said they're going to really value running the football and in the trenches as well. They have a pretty decent offensive line. That's kind of where they don't really need, have massive needs. So they go Jeanty here. And again, I talked about it last time. Him sitting out of the combine is kind of like unlike his character. I think if he thought he was going to be a middle of the first round pick, he would not have sat out of that combine. I think teams are telling him he's going to be an early pick. Again, I could see the Patriots at 4. I could see the Raiders at 6. That's what I went with here with Ashton Jeanty going to the Raiders. Jets at 7 take Armand Membou, the Missouri right tackle. This was an easy one. If he's there, I think they're going to pounce all over this. They badly need a right tackle. I think Aaron Glenn and company really going to value that. So, how the Lions built up their offensive line. So now he's here with the New York Jets. Pair a guy with Fashanu, Membou the pick, who could go a little bit earlier in this. And they'll consider those big-time tight ends as well. But again, if Membou's on the board here, and they run to the podium and select him. Panthers, an interesting one at 8. I went with Jahdae Barron from Texas, the versatile defensive back. But, man, they could go. I mean, they definitely need another pass rusher, but they have Clowney. They added Patrick Jones, where they added Wanham last year. Doesn't mean they won't add one. They'll consider it. They could use an off-ball linebacker. Do they go with the Jalen Walker, who's a little bit of a hybrid of both? Could see them doing that. They could go receiver. It just doesn't sound like the receivers besides Hunter are going to go this early. They give J.C. Horn a big contract, and they bring back Mike Jaxson. Those are probably the starters on the outside, but Barron, what he brings to the table is a high-end slot corner that plays at a high level outside. Honestly, could align at a safety position as well. And they also brought in Javon Merrick, who is a versatile safety. So I think he mixes well with the players they have, and they can play him at different alignments, making him important. He's supposed to go a lot earlier than how people have been talking, earlier in the process. So I thought this fit kind of made sense as they kind of added everything else but receiver. Do they trade up if Abdul Carter starts to slip? They can grab him. Do they trade back and target one of those receivers because they can trade back a little bit? So draft day should be pretty interesting with Carolina. Saints at 9, pretty easy one here, taking Will Campbell, the star tackle from LSU, who might end up being a guard, and the Saints probably would put him at left guard in this case. They badly need offensive line help. Kellen Moore really value that coming from the Eagles, so if there's one worthy of the pick here at 9, I think they'll take him. They could consider, again, pass rusher, receiver. In this scenario, I think they run to the podium and select Campbell. 10, the Bears select Josh Simmons, left tackle from Ohio State. I've had this before. I thought it was a no-brainer in this scenario. I really think the Bears are going left tackle. They've kind of showed me that. Unless a star prospect slips through, maybe like a Mason Graham, then maybe they have to take best player available there. But they filled that interior offensive line. They made sure they went out, and they didn't cut any corners doing it. They made Drew Dahlman the second highest paid center. They got a big-time elite guard in Joe Thuney, and they paid big money while trading for Jonah Jackson. They didn't want to go the cheap route. Now, they already have Darnell Wright at right tackle. Left tackle is still a question. Braxton Jones has not been too trustworthy. He can be decent if he's on the field. He has one more year left on his deal. They are not going to stop short. They made it a mission to fill the offensive line needs. They are going to do that, in my opinion. So they take Josh Simmons. I've said it before, and I'll probably say it every time I talk about Josh Simmons. Ultimate boomer bust guy. I'm usually firm on my takes for where I have guys, but Josh Simmons, to me, I could argue with myself. Elite prospect because the foot quickness is insane. How quick he is, how he explodes out of his stance. Perfect for today's NFL. You can't coach that thing. That stuff, it's elite. But at the same time, he's coming off an ACL injury. Against physical pass rushers, he really gets driven back into the pocket. That's a problem. So Major positives, major negatives. I think he's worth taking a shot on around this range. And the Bears, Ben Johnson, the Bears would like him. Tyler Warren still sitting around. Could they take a shot on him there? But in this scenario, they fill that last need of the offense line and go Josh Simmons. 11, the 49ers. They actually have a lot of needs right now. They lost a lot of guys, didn't fill really any in free agency. So they go pass rusher here. Mykel Williams from Georgia. Just seems like their type of pass rusher. Versatile, can play outside, inside. He has the physical traits you look for. Extremely long, the ideal body type at the edge position. And the 49ers really, really value that. I mean, Shemar Stewart, Texas A&M pass rusher, has the traits as well. I actually like him a little bit better. Mykel Williams, for me, I'm a big get-off guy when it comes to the edge rushers. He doesn't explode off the ball quite as fast for me to take him at 11, but I understand the rest of the other traits that he has. He's polished stopping the run as well. I think the Niners really like him. I could see them going several different routes here. Edge, D-tackle, go Jalen Walker, a little bit of edge, linebacker hybrid. I could see that as well. If the right offensive lineman is here, they most definitely could grab him, but I think they'll really like Mykel Williams because of his physical traits and the talent that he has. 12, the Cowboys go pass rusher from Texas A&M, Shemar Stewart, who is flying up boards. People disappointed about the lack of production, but he won reps. He's explosive off the ball. He's scheme versatile. He has the length you're looking for, the strength you're looking for, the athleticism you're looking for. A rare combo. I think his best football is most definitely ahead of him. The Cowboys definitely could use another pass rusher to pair up Micah Parsons. It'd be deadly pairing those two guys together. And they lost a couple guys to Marcus Lawrence, Chauncey Golston. They've added some pass rushers. They're more of just depth guys. I thought it was interesting. If Tyler Warren is still here, could they add another tight end? I think they would like him quite a bit. But Stewart at 12 makes a lot of sense. 13, the Dolphins filled some needs in free agency. Could they use more linemen? Sure. Are they looking to roll with Patrick Paul at left tackle? They added James Daniels at guard. They could use another guard, but on defense, always looking for more pass rushers. Defensive tackle, I think they'll really look to go for it, and there are some top-tier guys here in the first round. Derek Harmon is soaring up boards. I guess he aced interviews at the Combine. He's a talented player. He sheds blocks and gets into the pocket as good as anyone in this class. He's got to finish a little bit better. I think he'll give the Dolphins kind of Christian Wilkins vibe, who they're still trying to replace. So they could trade back maybe a little bit and take him. It wouldn't surprise me if he went even earlier in this. He's a guy that's going to go a lot earlier than where people are mocking him right now. Absolute stud with a lot of upside. They could go with another D-tackle, Kenneth Grant. Could they go Tyler Warren and pair him with Jonnu Smith? Definitely a possibility there for Miami. I really would look for them to target a top-tier defensive tackle early in this draft. 14, both star tight ends still on the board. And there's a scenario where they're both gone before 14, but in this scenario, both available, and the Colts grab one. I mean, they would absolutely have to. Tyler Warren would be awesome in that Shane Steichen offense. It would really upgrade them at that position where they, needed some help. I think that would really make that offense come together. Could go Colson Loveland as well. Consider a guy like Jalen Walker here, 14, but I think they would pounce all over Warren here. They would run to the podium and take him at 14 if he was available. 15, the Falcons select Georgia pass rusher / linebacker Jalen Walker, who might be sliding a little bit, been dealing with a little bit of an injury, a little bit undersized for the edge position. So do you play him? Which position do you play him at? Do you play him at both? Not going to be for everyone, but you get a ball player, freak athletes. I love the way he rushes off the edge, but he definitely could be a blitz option at the linebacker position, or QB spy option at the linebacker position. So Falcons definitely need more pass rush help. They have some needs on defense. They can go corner. They can go interior defensive line now. You kind of get a 2-for-1 here with Jalen Walker at 15. 16, the Cardinals go receiver from Texas, Matthew Golden, who is soaring up boards, a consistent separator and a freak athlete, shows up and makes plays in big-time moments, important moments in games. Cardinals did a good job filling that edge role with Josh Sweat. They added Dalvin Tomlinson for the interior. They're still looking at corners. Could they take a Will Johnson here? It's definitely possible. What they did not fill and what they're looking for is receiver and interior offensive line, so they can go that route. And I had them taking Matthew Golden. Some of these receivers could slide a little bit here, but Golden would be a great pairing. Marvin Harrison Jr. Again, they could go Gray Zabel if they're looking for offensive line. If they're looking for corner, they can go Will Johnson. All very realistic here for the Cardinals at 16. 17, the Bengals take James Pierce Jr., the Tennessee pass rusher, the fastest pass rusher in the class. He's super super productive too. He's actually very versatile. He can line up in different spots, even off-ball linebacker, but we love him off the edge. Bengals have some needs. They didn't really fill any throughout free agency. They just recently brought back Jamar Chase. I mean, he was going to be back anyways, but extended him, made sure T. Higgins was back. I mean, they definitely could still use interior defensive line, but they re-signed B.J. Hill. They added Slayton. They drafted a couple guys last year, so I don't know if they're really looking for that early since they have a number of guys, even though it's what they have is probably not good enough. Could go corner, could go interior offensive line. It sounds like they're trying to get Trey Hendrickson back, and that could happen soon, even though there are probably still trade talks there. Even with him back, they still need another starting pass rusher, in my opinion. So James Pierce Jr., very productive. They can go that route. Could go Will Johnson. Could go Kenneth Grant. Can see, even though they're star-studded offense, they have a lot of needs, especially on defense. 18, an easy one here. The Seahawks select Gray Zabel. North Dakota State played left tackle, but he's going to be an interior offensive lineman. Some teams like him at center. Some teams like him at guard. Seahawks could use him in either spot. You can fill in at left tackle if you need him to. Really good fit in their outside zone scheme under their new offense coordinator, Clint Kubiak. Very quick, Zabel is. Great fit. Another one where I think they run the podium and select him. I think it's just too obvious. They're going to have him, but there are some other good options available. Some people talk about Tyler Booker. I just do not think it's a fit. He's more of a gap scheme blocker, maybe inside zone where he doesn't have to pull or get downfield, get outside as much because he's very physical, nowhere near as quick and fast, as athletic as a guy like Zabel. So do not like that fit, even though you'll see that mocked a little bit. But now we're diving into the film. We see, okay, that's what this offense, that scheme offense lineman fits. That's what this guy fits. That's what he does not fit. So this just seems like a perfect match here. And he should be available, but I'd watch out for the Cardinals a couple picks before as well. Bucks at 19 grabbed the Michigan star corner Will Johnson, who was once thought of as a top 10 pick. Still could be because how instinctive, how talented, how long, athletic he is. But dealt with a little bit of an injury during the year and recently, so he could slide a little bit. The Bucks sort of filled the edge need with Hassan Reddick at short term, so they could still grab an edge rusher here. But, man, I think they're looking for a top corner to pair with Zion McCollum for the future. And Will Johnson and him, I mean, that would be insane. So that's what they're looking for to upgrade their pass defense. Could see Jahad Campbell as well, looking for a linebacker of the future, a guy that can also rush off the edge for you. That made a lot of sense as well. Broncos at 20 select Arizona star receiver Tetaroa McMillan, and you're starting to hear it's realistic for him to really slide for several reasons. Teams just valuing other players, other positions. Matthew Golden hopping him, probably not for all teams, but for a lot of teams it sounds. Yeah, a lot of defensive line talent hopping over these receivers. So the receivers after Hunter could slide a little bit. The Broncos, Sean Payton would not pass on him. I want this to happen because I think McMillan could be an absolute star pairing him in that offense. I had the comp. I haven't heard this comp anywhere. One of my favorites in this class. I'm not a big force of comparison type guy either. I love Mykel Thomas as the comparison for Tet McMillan here. That's what I see. A big body receiver, physical contested catch guy. But where is he sneakily his best? Over the middle of the field, crossing routes, slants, dominant. A guy that looks like an outside big body receiver because he is. But you can put in the slot and take big time advantage of the mismatch in the slot position. McMillan actually had 100 or so snaps there. He looked really good there. I would love to use him all over. So he's not just like a Cortland Sutton receiver. He's actually more. I think Sutton's actually, believe it or not, Sutton's one of the best contested catchers. I think he's better contested catcher than McMillan. I think Sean Payton would use McMillan right, and this would be deadly. He's a guy that has a shot to go top 10 or around this range. Broncos still badly need a running back. Could they use another tight end even though they added Evan Ingram? Definitely a possibility here, but love this fit if it could somehow happen. Steelers at 21 still have a need on the interior defensive line. They select Kenneth Grant, who has a shot to go earlier in this as well. Polished run stuffer. You need to double him pretty much. He swallows blockers, creates for his teammates. He gets into the backfield. Big fan of Kenneth Grant. Unfortunately, he's dealing with a little bit of an injury during the pre-draft process. That kind of made it so he actually could slide a little bit. Steelers still looking for someone. They cut Larry Ogunjobi, was the right move. Cam Hayward, even though he's still balling at a high level, he's not going to last forever. He's going to retire at some point. standpoint. I love Keanu Benton. Earlier in his college career, he played nose tackle, and at the end, they moved him to, playing over the guard, just moving around a bit. I think that's what the Steelers will do with him, not just sticking him at nose tackle, where Grant, he can play nose in the times that you want to slide him out. You can put Benton at nose tackle. I love that fit. It makes a lot of sense. It really could help the Steelers, which, in their run defense, which, definitely could use room for improvement there. But love this one at 21. 22, a perfect scenario for the Chargers. Colson Loveland just feels like the Chargers target, not just because that's a big reason, hardball in the connection, but they're leaving that hole open at tight end. And they're really targeting one of these top guys. But I've been saying, these guys are both Warren and Loveland are probably both going to go top 14, so you're going to have to trade up. But I made this mock in this scenario, which is realistic. He ended up slipping through a little bit, but I could see the Chargers trading up to make sure they get him. It just feels like what they're targeting here. They could go for another Michigan guy like Kenneth Grant if you move up a little bit. They definitely could use an interior defensive line player to help them stop the run as well. But a perfect scenario here with Loveland dropping right in their lap. Packers at 23. Walter Nolan slipped through a little bit. He's a guy that can go around the top 10 range because of his upside, his freaky get off the line of scrimmage, off the snap. Really good at, getting pressure on the quarterback from the interior spot. A lot of upside. Always been a, top recruit, top tier player. It's just matter of time before he really reaches his potential. So too good to pass maybe for the Packers here. They definitely could use an interior player still. They can use an edge rusher. They've been looking for receivers. I strongly consider a guy like Emeka Egbuka, who is a slot receiver, and Jaden Reed is as well, but they were in on Cooper Kupp, so I don't know if they're afraid to really get better there. They can actually add someone. They're more of a round 2 receiver team though, with Walter Nolan at 23. Vikings at 24. They filled a lot of needs in free agency, adding top tier players that were available. They could trade back because they only have 4 draft picks, but they don't have a ton of needs here, so it's actually not 100% necessary. They could look for corner. They could use a safety. I don't think they're going to value safety like that. Last time they did, they traded back from taking Kyle Hamilton. They took Lewis Seen. So would they take Starks here? I really look at corner, and they could still use another offensive lineman with that left guard spot. If Zabel's somehow there, they would love that. I don't think he's there, but I really look at corner. Maxwell Harrison would fit very well in that scheme under Brian Flores, who's running a little bit more zone lately compared to the past, but a guy that can press, play zone, play man, fantastic. Fastest player in the draft, freak athletes. I think a really good fit. Trey Amos, I like a lot as well. They can consider him. They can consider trading back. But I am eyeing corner for them wherever they pick first, whether it's late first, later first if they trade back, or early second. All very strong possibilities. 25, the Texans select Josh Connolly Jr., the Oregon left tackle. Perfect scenario for the Texans. And that's last week we learned the Texans badly need a left tackle because they traded their guy, Laramie Tunsil, for a haul of picks. Man, if the Texans can come away with Connolly Jr. here or Calvin Banks Jr. at 25 without trading up, even if they have to go up a little bit, not bad. After getting a haul for Laramie Tunsil, what a strategy, what a move by the Houston Texans that would be. I like Connerly a little bit better than Banks, in my opinion. Banks is very rangy. He can go near the top 10 or he can go back here. And there's more there's more upside, it feels like, to some of these other tackles than Banks. That's why I'm slipping through a little bit. But outside zone scheme, Connerly's perfect for. Really quick, getting downfield, taking on multiple blocks. Again, super quick. I'm a big fan of him, how he improved over the course of his career, over the course of the year. This would be great for the Texans. Getting that haul for Tunsil and then grabbing a guy like this in the first round. There is a big drop-off after the first round. These guys in the first round are great. After that, the tackle class is not strong, so they got to make sure they get their guy around this range. 26, the Rams go Alabama linebacker Jihad Campbell, who's soaring up boards. He can go earlier in this as well. This is an interesting one because the Rams have not valued linebacker like this. In the past, it kind of felt like they will not take a linebacker in the first. Different defensive coach last year. They mixed things up with their defense a little bit, with coverages, different looks. So I think they're more open to this, and that's where, the defense was good, but man, they could not stop the run, mainly because of the linebacker position. And I think Campbell holds more value to them, at least, than your typical linebacker because his pass rush ability. So I like that one. A little bit of a wild card pick there. Could go corner like Trey Amos. Alfred Collins is a defensive tackle that's going to go earlier than people think. He would help that. He's a dominant run stopper. He would help them. That could be a sneaky round 1 pick here for the Rams or another team. Ravens at 27, a beautiful fit with Tyler Booker going to Baltimore, the guard. He's one that could slip a little bit because he's not going to fit everyone. If you're running an outside zone scheme where you need your guards to pull, get outside, get downfield, work with the ball carrier, he's not your guy. He's more of an inside blocker, man/gap scheme or inside zone where he's just, you block north and south, you use the physicality, you just drive. You drive. And that's what the Ravens do, and they definitely could use another guard. So it's a beautiful fit here. He's not going to fit some of these other teams that could use a guard like the Seahawks. He'll fit more of the Ravens type blocking schemes. So it makes a lot of sense. They could use a free safety like Malachi Starks be a good fit. They could use a pass rusher. Donovan Ezeraku Ravens they're sitting pretty good. Stay put at 27. You got some guys that will help you, but they scream Baltimore Ravens fits here with all 3 of these guys that I mentioned. But Booker, who can slip a little bit, makes a ton of sense for them. Lions at 28. I've mocked this a bit recently. The Lions do not have many needs as they're getting healthier, and they actually added a defensive lineman like Roy Lopez on top of bringing on Muzurike back, on top of the huge signing of DJ Reed, making that corner position a non-need and making it better. They just need a pass rusher, it really feels like. I mean, could they use another guard? Sure. I think they're set with their starters. I'm excited about Mahogany, but Mike Green seems to be the guy that's available. He's a little undersized, but he's a production machine. He was, a little bit of an injury popped up at the combine that was unfortunate, so he could slip through. The Lions, again, they don't have a long list of needs. It's a very talented team, so they could actually trade up and get more of the pass rusher that they prefer. Guys that kind of fit the traits that they're looking for a little bit more. So I strongly consider that. I'd watch out for that here because, again, the Lions, if they can get a big-time pass rusher paired with Hutchinson, they're pretty much set. Of course, they need some serious depth. I mean, not that they're really lacking there, but they could use some other guys is my point. Not saying that's all they need, but in terms of a starter, for them to take that next step to being a legit Super Bowl team, trading up and getting a proven big-time edge could be huge. Commanders at 29, they filled that left tackle role with that trade acquiring Laramie Tunsil, so no more left tackle for them here. They badly need a pass rusher. They could use a corner or safety here as well, but man, I think they were trying to trade for Myles Garrett, and then the Browns weren't doing that. They gave him a deal, and they were definitely trying to trade for Trey Hendrickson. I guess it could still happen, but I heard the Bengals are working on a deal with him now after they got the receivers out of the way. So the Commanders kind of sat by and watched free agency, especially at that position, as they were trading for guys and trying to trade for other guys. So they badly need an edge rusher. Luckily, Dan Quinn doesn't really seem to be affected by scheme pass rushers. He typically likes more of the defensive end, long, physical, but I think anyone could fit his defense like a Donovan Ezeraku, who's very explosive, very long, very productive. So I would say they could trade up and get more of the proper fit, but they traded away so many picks already. So this would make some sense. They kind of need a gift and someone a little better to drop to them, but this would be an opportunity here. But they could go safety. I definitely could see that as well. Felt like they kind of got worse at safety, but we'll see they're not afraid to trade. So we'll see what kind of tricks they have up their sleeves. 30 of the Bills would have to go Malachi Starks here. Just too good to pass. They badly need a safety. They badly need a corner as well. They extended a lot of their guys in the front seven. They've added some pieces, short-term deals, so that doesn't rule out adding, pass rusher again. I don't love the pass rushers on the board here for them. So probably defense. Malachi Starks makes a lot of sense here for Buffalo. 2 years ago, he played a lot more free safety than last year. Looked great. Last year, they had him in the slot a lot, and it felt like he was chasing guys downfield, trying to catch up to him, which he can do. So I like him starting in the back end more so than starting up closer to the line of scrimmage. So if you go back and watch the 2023 tape, you start to kind of put him back up your board to where you have him. If you're watching this year tape, it's like how high do I actually want to take this guy? But super rangy, super smooth, super athletic. 31, the Chiefs select Calvin Banks Jr. So I have Banks slipping through a little bit. He could go near the top 10 because he's great. And the other guys are a little flashier, the other offense tackles, and they have more upside. The Chiefs just added Jalen Moore to kind of a surprising contract. It's not that expensive for a possible starting left tackle, though. If Banks was there, I don't think they would blink. They'd take him. They would make sure they had the options and the possible starter at left tackle. If Moore ends up being a backup, who cares? They signed him to a 2-year deal. It's hard to predict the draft when you're trying to sign guys in free agency. So I think they would go that route still if one of these guys, it could be Connerly. Maybe Josh Simmons slips through because of the injury, but he's too talented. I think too much upside, too much flashiness compared to Banks to slip through to here. But Chiefs still go offensive tackle at 31 here. 32, the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles select safety from South Carolina. Standout at the combine, Nick Amanwari. They surprisingly traded C.J. Gardner-Johnson, could use another safety. Amanwari's versatility to play up in the box, almost act as a linebacker at times, but play in the back end because he's a freak athlete that's rangy, lengthy. I think the Eagles would like that. Could be targeting safety. If they trade Goddard, they could use a tight end. They could use, they've lost some guys, but they're still super deep and talented. Could use a corner, could use pass rusher, D-line. Well, they know how to draft. So I think this could be a pretty good option here at 32 for Philadelphia. Second round, the Browns. I keep having them take a running back, but they're going to value that, running the football, Murray and Hampton. So running backs, I only had one go in the first round, and there could be multiple that go in the first round. Last mock, we had Hampton going. We could even see guys like Judkins or Henderson or Caleb Johnson go in the first round. But I think teams are going to like how there's a realistic scenario where teams love how deep the running back class is. Well, they're going to go, we're going to wait. And there's some teams that are filling the needs right now in free agency at running back. Strong example is the Minnesota Vikings. Teams don't have to worry about them taking a running back anymore because they brought back Aaron Jones and they added Jordan Mason. Chargers definitely could still use a running back, but they brought in Najee Harris on a somewhat expensive 1-year deal. They're not planning to use him as a running back too. So teams might feel a little bit more comfortable waiting because the depth and the less needy teams there are out there makes a lot of sense to me. So the Browns grab, I'm a big fan of Hampton. I think he's a first-round player. Been a fan of him for a long time. They take him at 33. Giants get their quarterback in Jaxson Dart, who they could trade up in the back end of the first round to get that 5th-year option. Titans, I had the receivers slipping through again. That's kind of what got pushed back here. The running backs, the receivers. The Titans would love to have Emeka Egbuka, pair him with Calvin Ridley. The Jags get Luther Burden. If they can't get Hunter in the first, they grab Burden. Remember, they traded Christian Kirk, slot receiver. They add Burden would have a lot more upside than Kirk in the slot, who's a slot receiver. And that'd be perfect for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Egbuka, same thing, slot receiver. I think he is a little better. If you have to pick one to play outside, I would definitely pick Egbuka. Raiders, again, it almost feels like they have more needs now after we're through free agency. Not quarterback, but they go Trey Amos, who I think is a first-round level corner at 37. Ariante Ursary for the Patriots. They need a left tackle. They grab him there at the 38. After Ursary, there's a big drop-off with legit left tackles. Bears get their running back of the future on Quinshawn Judkins. I think Ben Johnson would like him, or Travion Henderson. Either one, definitely a possibility there, or Caleb Johnson. I like Judkins to be the next running back off the board after, to me, the clear top two in Jeanty and Hampton. Saints go Trey Harris. They're kind of lacking that lengthy receiver, physical receiver for the outside. The Bears, with their next pick, this would be a haul for the Bears, man. Alfred Collins, defensive tackle from Texas. He's going to watch for him to be the next defensive tackle off the board after the obvious 4 first-round picks. Collins could even sneak into the end of the first round. The knock on him, not super involved in rushing the passer, and his get-off is very lacking, but he is a stud stopping the run, and that's where the Bears need help. So the Bears come away with their left tackle of the future that completes the offensive line, running back of the future, and Judkins, who I'm a huge fan of, and then Alfred Collins, another D tackle they need to pair with Jarrett. Jarrett's not going to be around forever. To help stop the run. I mean, what a haul for Chicago. That's why I want them to keep these 2 second-round picks. They're always eager to trade. Stay put. This is where the draft is at right here. 39 and 41. This is where the best part of the draft is, in my opinion. So I love that. Jalen Knowles soaring up boards. Big winner of the Combine. Jets get him for the slot to pair with Wilson. Donovan Jackson for the 49ers, a guy that could play left guard for them, but also if they need him to, could slide up at left tackle. Isaiah Bond for the Cowboys could use a receiver to pair with CeeDee Lamb. Thought about him. Thought about Higgins. I think they'll go for more of the separator. Nick Scorton for the Colts. I thought his 2023 tape said first-round pick. This year, maybe not so much. He's a little stiff, but he's still super talented. Stops the run. He's got a collection of moves for a more bigger physical pass rusher, and the Colts would like to have him. Siobhan Revell from East Carolina. I think that's the type of corner that Jeff Ulbrich and that defense would really like, kind of give them a poor man Sauce Gardner vibe there. Azareye'h Thomas, who could be a first-round pick, really solid press man corner. Issue is there's more and more zone in today's NFL. Can he run it? I think it's definitely a possibility. It's a little bit more of a mystery, but you love his press ability. He's a stud. Cardinals looking for a corner. Dolphins grab Charles Grant, really good fit. Mike McDaniel's, outside zone offense, really quick, small school, William & Mary offensive tackle. They definitely could use one. Necessarily doesn't have to start right away, but could. Xavier Watts for Al Golden in the Bengals. Very familiar with him coming out of Notre Dame, and just a big-time playmaking safety guy that just finds the ball consistently. Seahawks grab Mason Taylor. I'm pretty confident with him being the third tight end off the board after the obvious top two, so Seahawks grab him for that offense. Broncos, what a draft this would be for the Broncos. Ted McMillan and Travion Henderson slipping through, that running back that Sean Payton's looking for now here at Henderson. This is an ultimate fit draft, mock draft for the Denver Broncos, and really good value at the same time. Seahawks pick again. That's why we got to update these things. They got another pick here. Jaden Higgins, outside long contested catch receiver from Iowa State, had a pretty good combine as well. I like him a little more in the third round, but we're getting towards the end of the second, so kind of grab him to replace DK Metcalf. Carson Schwarzenegger, linebacker for the Bucs. They need a future linebacker. He has some blitzing upside, which Todd Bowles will like a bit. Packers grab their receiver and Jack Besh, a kind of a versatile, safe pick. Versatile because he can line up pretty much anywhere you ask. Maybe even lined up at the wing position at times. But the Packers would like him to play outside or inside. Sure-handed, best hands in the class. So the Packers would like him there. Tyleik Williams, Ohio State defensive tackle, stops running at a very high level for the Chargers. Benjamin Morrison, a corner for the Bills here at 56. Braden Swinson of LSU soaring up boards. He needs help. He needs to improve stopping the run because he can tackle. He does not set/hold the edge too well. He'll take himself out of plays, but if you have talent kind of around him, I think it could work out pretty well. They have Derek Brown, they added Wharton, but he is super explosive off the ball. He has pass rush moves to get after the quarterback, so he's an interesting one there for Carolina. Texans could use a center. They could try to use what they have on the roster. Jared Wilson, the fastest center of all time at the Combine, fifth fastest offensive lineman, and he was solid on tape as well. Very quick center. I think great for the Texan scheme, so they double up on offensive linemen. Ravens go Josiah Stewart, Michigan pass rusher, explosive get off. You could even say elite get off, and he's productive. He can drop in coverage. He's just severely undersized, but the talent actually says round one. It really does. He's not going to go round one, though. I think the Ravens would like him. Lions, again, not a whole lot of needs, but Jonah Savainaya from Arizona, he has time playing right guard, and right tackle. Man, I thought he was good at right tackle, but he could be and I'm fine with playing there, but he can be even better at guard where the Lions could use him. Again, they could play Mahogany as well. I like his future, but be worth it for the Lions here for sure. Caleb Johnson for the Commanders, physical running back, really good career at Iowa. I know the Commanders, at first glance, don't badly need a running back, but I think they would upgrade here. I think they would like him a lot. Bills take JT Tuimoloau, instinctive pass rusher, deflects the shit out of passes. Bills definitely could use another one there. I like the Bills' second round opportunities here with a couple picks. Joshua Farmer for the Chiefs. They lost to Sean Wharton. I like Farmer a lot. Long tank build, freaky dude. I think his best football is ahead of him. It would be a really good second-round pick. Chiefs pair. If he ended up next to Chris Jones, the Chiefs can be a star. And then Darius Alexander, a little tricky because he's an older prospect, but very solid. Obviously, had a good showing at the Senior Bowl and a good fit with the Eagles to try to replace Milton Williams in terms of depth. He would be for the Eagles there, but you'd see him on the field quite a bit. But I thought tight end for them was a possibility here as well. But there you have it. Felt really good about the fits and where guys were landing after free agency, after we have more of an idea what the true needs are for teams. We could make a video on updated needs for every team. It'd be pretty interesting. But let me know your guys' thoughts on the mock here. Love this one. Follow us on Twitter for a lot of updates. We'll be talking draft there as well, but we're getting through free agency now, and it's on to draft season. A lot more film to watch, and then we'll start to break down the position rankings and a lot more like we always do. Hoping to do some live streams before our live stream of day one of the NFL draft. Cannot wait for that. Really fun times. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. You won't regret it. Be much appreciated. It's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.